The Mike and Tony Show is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Yo, it's Tony Two Tone, and I just took a shot with Mike and Tony, so what's good?
We a little fucked up in this motherfucker, but we gonna get it right.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Take One from Smoke That Entertainment. Colorado, stand up.
All right, man. Hey, this is Tommy Chong. You're listening to Mike and Tony.
Oh, yeah. The wonderful Tommy Chong when he was in the building here, Pierce. Mike Patty, I haven't talked to that guy in a long time. Next time he's out this way, we have to get him on.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you? How was your week? It's episode 243, Pierce.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good week. Work, you know, and then prepping for little one's birthday.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was her birthday yesterday, and so the whole weekend of extravaganza, fun and everything, and it's happening. So
Yeah. It's crazy. That's what when you walked in and it smelled like a Mexican restaurant upstairs.
Yeah.
It's because today's
Nana's
Nana's birthday, and so it's just been all week, dude. There's we got an office up there just crammed full of decorations because it's a surprise party, so she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So everybody's maneuvering all this stuff, trying to get it in. But this week it's Saturday morning, Pierce. We have an excellent guest.
Yes.
Today. I'm really excited.
Yes.
Today we have the one and only Jamie Rogers, who I'm meeting for the first time right now. You guys go way back, Pierce, or
yeah, a couple of years.
Couple years
yeah.
now.
Yeah, we did the pop up for Dave Forrell. And
Okay.
then he's done some stuff with Dave as well, like on the side. Like he did a fantastic shoot. I got to see the shoot of Union Station.
Oh, yeah,
When he
yeah.
did that too. So yeah, and then we work alongside at the pop ups too. And so he's over there taking all the videos, and I'm behind the booth working it. And
yeah. And I should say it's Captain Colorado Photography is what you know by.
That is who I'm known as on social media anyway.
Yeah, everybody's like Jamie Rogers.
Yeah, who's that?
Who's that? Dude, I was telling you when you were coming down the stairs earlier, like looking through your artwork, it's incredible. I'm a huge nature buff. Like I love camping and fishing and being out in it.
Same here, man.
Yeah, it shows, and I think that's a big thing that feeds into your art is like the fact that is a passion of yours. So you have it just in your work, like so much nature stuff. But even some of the city stuff, like the stadium pictures, like the CU Buffs. Have you seen?
the drone footage and stuff like that.
Yeah, that stuff's incredible.
What I was gonna say, my favorite stuff of yours, I was getting hungry looking at all the damn food pictures, dude.
That's something I've been doing a bit more of recently. So I'm kind of like, I don't really have a very specific niche. Like I don't just shoot one thing. Like I like all facets of photography. So it just kind of keeps morphing into different things. So I've been doing a lot of restaurant and I say hospitality because restaurants and hotels and bars and such.
Stuff like that, yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of collaborations, as they call it these days. So come in and kind of document the experience that you have there to help promote those businesses and such.
That's
so
cool.
it's fun. I'm doing one tonight, like I was telling you a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So, and then in conjunction with that, I'll be shooting some. They've got a new neon sign that they just put up, so I'll be doing some drone shots while I'm there as well.
Yeah, I have so many questions. So when did you get into photography? Were you pretty young when you started taking pictures?
No. So, I mean, I'm old, so it definitely wasn't when I was very young, but probably about 10 years ago. That's when I got.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So that's when I got my first camera. And then this is what I tell people all the time. It's funny because once you are a photographer and people think you know what you're talking about or think you know what you're doing, they start to ask a lot of questions. And so I get approached oftentimes about like, what camera do you use? And I want to do this. And I want to take pictures like you. And I started asking a bunch of questions, and oftentimes it'll probably come across as me being negative or whatnot. But I'm like, what are you really trying to do? And why do you want, to buy a camera? And most of the time they're like, I just want to take pretty pictures. And I was like, you got a nice iPhone or Samsung?
Yeah.
I'm like, I would stick with that unless you're wanting to put a lot of time and effort into it, because like,
stuff,
so having a nice camera is good. And what I typically say is like, the more megapixels you have in your camera, the bigger you can make prints or whatnot, but it doesn't make you take better pictures. I mean, there's all sorts of technology. I won't get into all those details right now, but the point being is that if you're trying to do what I do, just buying a camera isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where I'm going with this is that's what I thought when I first got my camera.
Yeah.
So I got my first camera about 10 years ago, and I thought like, well, I've got a nice camera now. I just point it in any direction and magic happens. And then I learned quickly that was not the case. Like I was like most other people where I shot in auto. I didn't know any better. Like the reason you get a camera is because it has all these different settings. It can give you, it gives you creative control essentially. And so I was just, out pointing and shooting and thinking, wow, I'm taking pictures. This is awesome. And then realized that I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
But like to your point about like the outdoors and such, that's what actually got me into photography. Since I'm not a native Coloradan. I'm a transplant like most everyone else.
Just like
why are you pointing to me? I thought we established I'm honorary.
Yeah. I mean, I have been here over 16 years now, so I definitely identify as a Coloradan.
Yes.
But like I got out into the outdoors and I was hiking, and then hiking led to backpacking and camping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was spending so much time outdoors and like seeing all this beauty that Colorado, I mean, initially Colorado, but like the rest of the world had to offer. And I was like, I should be documenting this better. And so that's what led me to get a camera. And so I'd say the first few years that I had a camera, I didn't have any editing software. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't like really study or try to teach myself anything. And then finally, you get people saying, oh, well, those pictures are really cool. And then you start seeing actual photographers' photos and you're like, okay, there's some similarities, but this one is so much better. And then long story short, you finally realize that there's a lot more involved and a lot of editing techniques. I mean, you need to learn how to use the camera first. You need to understand like compositional techniques and such. And then from there, the editing is where you have so much creative control. And so, over the last many years, I've taught myself how to do that. And this is where I am now.
That's dope. It's funny how people think of it that way with pictures. What I mean with cameras. Like you wouldn't buy a Fender Stratocaster and think like
I'm gonna play guitar.
All I needed was this guitar, bro. Now I'm just
I bought it. Why is this thing playing? Right? Yeah.
But it is funny because and I relate to it even myself. Like I like taking cool pictures too, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I play around with stuff on my phone and whether it's filters or like the settings, you're trying contrast. And, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. If you look back at some of our videos, dude, when we first started doing the video, like seriously, I was like putting filters and stuff on. It looks so ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you look back at some of those, it looks like we're in like a
Tony put eyelashes on me. It's weird. It's really weird, dude.
That was just for fun.
No, it's funny that you say that because I relate to that because I have a nice camera, but I don't know. Yeah, I have a real nice camera. I don't know what to do with it. Like you were saying, at first, like, oh, just click on this auto thing. And then you're like, oh, but what are all these other buttons for? And then you start playing around with them and stuff. You're like, oh, look at this. I can do this with this and this and this. And it's funny because like my dad is also a photographer as well, but he's like one of those old timers. And he just likes doing like senior pictures and like dog pictures and stuff like that. Right. And so, because he's, doesn't want to get around and go out as much.
Yeah.
But he's told me that, when I was telling my dad, I was like, yeah, look at this camera. He's like, well, what are you doing with it? And I was like, oh, I've taken this and this and this. And he's like, well, look at this. Here, change this to this. And he's like moving things around. I'm like, okay, how do I change it back? He goes, why do you want to change it back?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that is one of the most daunting tasks about photography is learning how to actually use the camera. Because I can think of the first experience that I had with my camera being in the exact right place that I needed to be and not having a clue. Oh. So I got my camera as a gift for Christmas. And then the following year in February, I went to Iceland.
Oh, okay.
And it was with my ex-wife and another couple. And we went out to Iceland. We ended up in this town called Vik. It's on the south side. It's where the black sand beaches are. Okay. So it's a very well-known area. And we were up on a hill in a restaurant eating dinner, and some locals casually walked in and they were like, hey, if you guys are interested in the Northern Lights kind of stuff, it's happening. And they're like, just look outside. And we're like I said, we were up on a hill,
man.
so we walked right out this door, and I mean, it was like right above us. It looked like we could touch it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "We have to get out of here. We have to go see this now."
Yeah.
So we, closed out our tab, ran down to the black sand beach. We were the only 4 people out there, but then realized, I don't know what the hell to do with my camera. I was like, because this was like probably the first nighttime shooting experience, and if you don't know how to adjust your settings for night photography, you're not going to get. Wow. So fortunately, I did have a tripod, but then fortunately, my friend Ashley, she actually had a clue about photography, like a little bit enough about settings and such.
Yeah.
She knew what ISO was, she knew what aperture was, and she's like, well, you need to get a smaller aperture and you need to crank up the ISO. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And okay, even if you tell me what that is, where do I find that on my camera?
Right.
And so, I mean, it was just constant scrambling. She's like, well, crank it up more. And I'm like, finding the buttons and switching it. And I mean, it's probably one of the most frustrating things in my photography career, even though at that point it was definitely really not a career. Yeah. But I was like, it was the most insane show I've ever seen. We sat out there for like 3 hours and the lights just danced all over the sky the entire time. And
Did you get some good shots then, though?
Not really. I mean, under the circumstances, yes. Yeah. I mean, I was able to capture some of the lights. But like looking back now, knowing what I know now, I'm like, if I was in that same situation now, I would have gotten amazing shots. But like, it was a cool, surreal experience. I mean, it didn't like ruin it per se.
Yeah.
But like, if I would have known what I know now, the pictures would have been 1,000 times better. And but again, that's part of life, right? It's a learning experience.
Now, have you been back since?
I haven't, but Iceland, if you haven't ever been, I mean, it's one of the most magical places.
I wanted to ask you about it. Yeah. It's on a bucket list for us.
So it's crazy how big the island is. Like when I first started planning the trip, I was like, all right, we're gonna go the entire island. We're gonna run around there because we had like 8 days. And I'm like, no problem. We're there over a week. Yeah. We're gonna see the whole island. So we fly into Reykjavik like everyone does. But then as I started mapping it out, it's like, 2 hours to this place and 3.5 to that. I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's the southwest corner of Iceland. I was like, there's no way we're getting across this whole island. Yeah. So we basically went between Reykjavik, which is in, the far southwest corner, over to Vik, which is more kind of south central. And we covered everything in between there, a bunch of waterfalls and such.
That's cool.
But that was it. Like, there's so many other places. I mean, I don't know. If you had a month, you could probably get through the whole island. Pretty quick, stopping here and there still in a month's time. So,
right.
I mean, regardless, it was absolutely amazing. Like, it's probably one of the coolest places I've been on this planet. So now I want to go. So we went there specifically in February to capture the Northern Lights because that's when it's more likely to occur, is in the wintertime, or our wintertime anyways. I mean, it's obviously their wintertime. They're in the Northern Hemisphere as well. But so we did that. But now, like, I want to go back to backpack out there. Okay. Like, go back in the summertime. Nice. They don't have any predators or anything out there. So it's like...
Really?
Yeah, so nothing to even like think or worry about. I mean, I backpack here in the States, wherever. Yeah. But, you don't have to think about that. Like, I just went backpacking this week, and you have to bring either a bear canister or a bear bag, to protect your food and such.
What were temperatures like?
I want to say it got chilly because it was, February, I want to say down in the 40s.
Okay.
Oh. So it wasn't like, it's called Iceland, right? But it's not.
Sure, it's a misnomer.
It's in Greenland, it's called Greenland, but it's like they should almost be like swapped.
Yeah.
So it was chilly, but it wasn't any different than what it would be here, really.
Dope. And just beautiful. I imagine the nature.
Yeah, it's insane, and there, there's not too many people there, so getting around. The weather obviously changes quickly, much like it does here.
Yeah.
So, you had to be prepared for that. But, overall, it was pretty chill.
Yeah. I had some friends that went to Iceland and they had volcano bread.
Volcano bread.
Yeah.
Was this you that told me about this? I've heard about
yeah,
the
so like
volcano bread.
they can bake it like right in like the
the volcano.
Yeah, the dirt or whatever around it.
Okay, I must have missed that, or if we did have it,
Yeah.
then I didn't even realize it was labeled that.
Yeah, that's wild.
I want to go back a little and ask you because, so that was kind of how you started with photography.
Yeah,
it's like a full-on business for you now, and like you do a wide variety of different things. Talk a little bit about that, like what all you do, and then also how did that transition happen?
Yeah, so that's actually pretty easy. So I got into photography for landscape photography, much like the vast majority of photographers here in Colorado. They're like, "This place is beautiful, so I'm going to photograph it." Then it went right around when COVID hit. It was, I wasn't doing it professionally then. It was still a hobby. I had, been approached by people like, "Hey, do you sell prints?" And, "Oh, can you do this? Will you shoot my friend's wedding or, my babies or something?" And I'm like, that's really not kind of the photography I'm trying to do. I could, I've shot friends and family and stuff like that, but I'm definitely not a portrait photographer. But when COVID hit and we, kind of locked down all the time, that's when I got my drone.
Oh, nice.
My first drone. And so it all kind of coincided as far as like the transition to like city, street and drone stuff. Since the streets of Denver were empty and you couldn't really go too far or be out too long, what have you, that's when I would go into town and start trying my hand at, like long exposures and stuff. I do a lot of that nowadays.
That's dope, dude. Yeah.
But more specifically the drone work. And then from there, that's when I started getting a lot more like actual business inquiries about like, "Hey, we love, these drone shots." Like,
people just hitting you up through like Insta or something like that?
And that's primarily where most of my work still comes from to this day. But like I can remember one of the first things that like made me feel like maybe I should do this as a business because this is crazy that they're reaching out to me, but it was 9 News.
Oh, wow.
One of the guys reached out to me on Instagram. He's like, "Man, I've been following your work and it's amazing." He's like, "I love your drone stuff." He's like, "Have you thought about, selling the drone video clips that you do?" And I was like, not actually. No, I haven't. I was like, "Why are you interested?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually we are." And so I started working with 9 News and they would just buy like handfuls of drone clips of like the city or the state itself. And they use them in like their little weather intro segments.
Okay,
it'd be like
probably seen it.
9, probably at some point. I mean, I don't really work with them anymore, but we did it for 2 or 3 years.
Cool.
But yeah, it would be like a 10 to 15 second clip where it'd be like a drone shot panning across the mountains of Colorado, and it'd be like 9 News weather at 11,
totally
that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, so then, when they reached out to me and told me how great my work was, and then they're putting it out on television, I was like,
maybe I should do this.
Okay. I was like, wait, maybe I do know what I'm doing, or at least have some sort of clue. So that's probably like the biggest contributor to when I decided like I should start doing this a bit more. And then I have another friend in the industry, a buddy of mine named Blake. He runs Gorilla Capturing. They're a big operation here in Denver. He's actually started Gorilla Sports, so he covers the abs and and the nuggets and such. So anyways, he also reached out to me sometime, in that same time frame, and I didn't know him at the time, but I knew who Gorilla Capturing was, and like was awe-inspired by their work. But he had reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, we have this project of, this building being built downtown." And he's like, "We've got most of the stuff together, but he's like, we need some clips from downtown Denver." And he's like, "I've seen your work." He's like, I'd love to talk to you about that." And I'm like, "Okay, you want to talk to me about my work? What do you, okay." So we got on a call or a Zoom, and, I was sharing just a bunch of, my drone flights that I've done around town. And again, he was like, "Man," he's like, I know a lot of drone pilots, but he's like, your work is up there with the best of them, if not some of the best I've ever seen. And Blake, if for some reason you ever listen to this, hopefully I'm not actually lying because that's how I remember it. But he commended me on the work. He's like, people don't realize how tough this is, and he's like, your eye and the way you do this is amazing. So again, he had been in the industry for like 20 years. He actually went to school for photography and videography and such. So obviously he knows what he's doing. So when he was like commending me on my work as well, I was like, yeah, I must have a clue.
You definitely have a clue. You can tell by looking at your work. What were you doing before?
Nothing super interesting. I've been in sales all my life, in various industries. Probably the last 10 to 15 years prior to getting into photography was software sales and account management. So in various types. The most recent was a learning management software. So I mean, I
don't know you well, but that's like doesn't fit with everything else about you.
No, it did not. It was a means to an end, right?
Yeah, of course.
I had worked at a database software company before that probably suited me a bit better. It was in the nonprofit space, and that's something we could probably talk about as well. As I do a lot of work with a nonprofit organization called SOS Outreach, mentor with them. And we could segue to that in a sec, but so the learning management software, it paid really well.
Sure.
But like, I'll just say this, I was not intelligent enough to be selling that stuff. Like the guys that I worked with, they all loved that shit. And like, they knew it forwards and backwards. And that was like, they should be there. They should be working with that company. And then I was that just one-off where it's like, why is he here? We like this guy, but maybe he shouldn't be selling this stuff.
Yeah.
Jamie's funny. We just keep him around.
He's
a cool guy.
Yeah, I think it was more along the lines there. So yeah. So then it kind of sucks, but like there were some changes within the company. The private equity firm bought it out, and they were making changes. And I will say this, I was kind of pushed out in a sense. And so at that point, I had been doing a lot of photography work on the side. So that was the impetus that said, hey,
it's a great story.
Let's, I was like, I'm definitely not going to stay here working here. And I might be able to do that. So this is the time. So, at the time my wife was like, yeah, you should quit and move on and do this. So I guess I owe that to them that they, finally pushed me to the point where I needed to make a decision. And so I did. And here we are, because that's been a few years ago now. So that's what got me here today.
Damn, that's pretty dope. Let's talk about the nonprofit stuff.
Yeah. That's been a huge part of my life. And I always love talking about SOS Outreach. So they are a youth service nonprofit organization headquartered out of Edwards, Colorado now. They started in Vail specifically just over 30 years ago. And we basically take underserved at-risk youth snowboarding. I mean, that's the awesome. Short of it. Obviously, we do more than that. It's not just about snowboarding. We teach life skills, essentially. So we focus around 6 core values, and it's character building, leadership development. Trying to show them, that a community is what gets you to the next phases of your life and whatnot. And so, like, teaching them how to, appreciate what they've got, and then give back to others as well. So,
dude, I feel like that's really been our theme, Pierce. The people coming on the show, like, that's so cool that you're involved with. I teach as well. I've taught at Title I school since I got into it late, kind of like you did with photography. I started 7 years ago, but that is freaking dope. I had no idea there was that whole other side.
Yeah. It's been awesome. So this coming season will be my 13th year.
Wow.
So I'm an OG in the SOS world. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. And it's just because. So there will be another segue here as well. But well, just over 13 years ago, I got sober. And so at that point, when I made the decision to get sober, and that's obviously a long story as well. But the first thing that like came to realization was how unconsciously selfish I had been. Like I didn't mean to be the way I was or whatnot, but I was like all about myself. I was like, hey, I'm going to party. I'm going to, drink and not worry about what other people think. It's all about me. But once I got sober, I had this clarity and like did a lot of inward, analyzation and looking at myself and going, wow, you're not a terrible person, but you did have some things that you could change. And so I immediately thought like, I need to give back. I need to find a way to like pay it forward and such. And so my ex-wife and I started looking online, and one of the first things like for a youth nonprofit that came up was SOS Outreach.
Yeah.
And it was like snowboarding and kids. I was like, holy crap. Like that's like perfect. Like, cause I'm a huge snowboarder, been snowboarding for almost 30 years now.
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah. So a long time. So easy to say, like I got involved with them. They've got a couple different programs or whatnot. I got started in their, Learn to Ride program. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's a smaller commitment, but you basically the kids and the volunteers commit to 5 ride days. And basically take the kids out. There's some instructors that participate at some of the local resorts as well. But you take the kids out for 5 ride days throughout the season. They learn how to snowboard or at least attempt to. And then from there, if they graduate from that program, they can move into the university program. And that's where the mentors like myself are involved. Wow. And the university program is also what it sounds like. It's a 4-year program typically, because they serve kids 8 to 18.
Yeah.
That's the age bracket. And so most of the time we're trying to like get them into Learn to Ride, prior to high school. And then, in high school is when they kind of do the university program, because once you go through the university program, you graduate, and then move on. They also have it's changed titles, but essentially junior mentors is what some of the graduates from the university program can then become.
That's
like
awesome.
Where they
like
basically, yeah, exactly. And that's what we're trying to do is just keep everyone in the program and giving back and part of that same community and whatnot.
That's so dope. Do you know what communities that most of the kids come from, or like where they?
Well, they have a lot on here.
I was going to say it's probably all over.
Based out of Edwards.
Yeah.
And so they have Chicago, Kenosha, Denver, Detroit, Eagle County, Leadville, Minneapolis, Lake Tahoe, Park City, Portland. I mean, that's just a few of them.
Yeah, we had a couple of teachers last year that they took the kids on a couple of snowboarding trips, and they sort of had some big ideas, but they're also teachers, you know what I mean? So they're doing all this other stuff. That's phenomenal. I definitely want to look into that too.
Yeah, so I work primarily with the Denver office, and so the currently the way it's changed repeatedly over the years, but they used to partner with a lot of different youth service organizations. Like I used to work with a group from Colorado Uplift oftentimes, but it just, I don't want to say it got out of control or out of hand. It just wasn't manageable the way it was back in the day. So they minimized. So right now the Denver office works with the Mapleton School District.
Okay.
So all the kids that we work with all come from a school within the Mapleton School District. And there's quite a few of those. But I'll say this, Mapleton School District, the way their participation and the way they handled their relationship with SOS Outreach was hands down the best I've ever seen. Like they're just so involved. They get, the school itself, the powers that be, they get them involved. And I don't know, they find a way to help fund it, and they're just.
I love that, and from the school side, all that stuff is such a pain with so much red tape. And like trying to get all those things in order, and then like having all the waivers in place. And I know that we know because we had Staff Sergeant Lacey McDonald, who's been on here, and he does a lot of work with youth too.
Yeah,
and has been involved in a few different organizations. But just seeing like everything he had to go through just to get things set up properly, it's so weird. You know, you're like, we're just helping kids. You know, like, why does that
one would
tough?
think. But yeah, it's been a huge passion of mine. I mean, like
that's amazing.
Started many years ago. I've made great friends because of it. I mean, there's several kids. Let's see, several of some of my OG kids, as I'll call them, like from some of my first groups or whatnot. Like I'm still friends with them, and they're upwards of 23 to 27 years old now.
Amazing, man.
And I'm
That's
still,
the best.
still involved in their lives in some regards. You know, most of them or a few of them have like moved elsewhere, so we don't keep in touch as closely as we did. But one of the girls, one of the OG girls, Elizabeth, she actually just had her first child, and I actually got to go to her baby shower here a few weeks back.
What a cool moment.
Yeah, so it's cool. Like, I mean, it's definitely a community. Like, you know, it's awesome to like watch them grow. I mean, I was involved in one of the guys. I sat in as his father for the wedding because it was back in Texas. Long story, but my ex-wife and I went out there and were participated in the wedding or whatnot. So I mean, I've made some really good relationships with kiddos. This past season, I got a new group, and they're freaking awesome. I love them to death. I mean, they're such great kids, and they'll be in my group this year. Yeah. They'll all be. I think are they juniors this year. I think they're going to be juniors this year. So I'll have them this year and next. You know, provided everything stays the same,
sick, dude. That's. I feel like there's so much benefit in being around young people a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because as a teacher, it's the same thing for me. Like I'll meet all my students this year. I'm starting at a new school, and so I'll meet all my students on Monday.
Yeah.
But it's that feeling of just I'm excited to see the new group and like see what these kids are about. And it's funny when you look at how school's set up. You know what I mean? It's dope to hear stuff like what you're doing. We've talked about like how at Lake Middle School in Lakewood they've got the DJing programs and all this kind of cool stuff going on. But traditional school is set up in such a just like sterile, dry, just kind of like we're meant to program people to go out and do a certain thing, you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of funny how you say that. Like I approach mentorship in a completely different way. And forgive me, SOS Outreach, and I know you guys know me, but they might not appreciate exactly how I do everything. But I'm a little not by the book, let's say. Like the way I present it to other mentors coming on or whatnot, whenever I'm asked my opinion about things, is most people when they get involved in organizations like this are like, I want to come and save the world tomorrow. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. I mean, you gotta meet the kids, get to know them to where you earn their trust or whatnot. But what I always talk about is like they have teachers, they have principals, they have police officers and all these authority figures in their lives all the time that are telling them what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
So as a mentor, I never go like, this is what we're doing and you need to do this. I'm more about like, let's have fun. You know, like we do have requirements and we do need to, follow these things and, abide by some rules and whatnot. But like, let's get to know each other. Let's have some fun. And then all the other stuff will fall into place.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I become their friend first. And, once we build, that relationship or whatnot, it seems like, at least for me, that, they respect me and then they want to follow the rules and they want to
that's how it
make
works.
Everyone happy and whatnot. So it works pretty well.
That's the big thing with teaching and working with kids in general. It all starts with the relationship with the kid, because without that, you can't do anything. You're just one more of those authority figures, telling them what to do or what not to do. Damn, that is pretty wild. I didn't see that all coming. Can we talk about your sobriety a little bit? And like,
yeah, absolutely.
How did it lead up to that, or like, why? What made you?
Let's see. I mean, I was a typical like younger person when I was a younger person, I was the typical partier of sorts. I, probably a bit more excessive even in the younger days than a lot of people that like to let loose. But over the years, I actually, that is what led me to move to Colorado. So my sister has lived out here in Colorado for, probably around 25 years, quite some time. And so I was coming to visit, go snowboarding, do those kind of things. So, I knew Colorado already, but I essentially hit rock bottom in Houston. I'm from Texas, so okay. Don't hold it against me. Like I said, I identify as a Coloradan. But same. Yeah, I was in Houston. That's where I spent most of my upbringing or whatnot before moving out here. But yeah, I kind of hit rock bottom. I needed a change. I essentially had a really bad meltdown day and had a conversation with my mom, and she's like, yeah, you're in a bad place. You definitely need a change. And so shortly after that, I packed up shop and moved up here to Colorado. And I've never looked back. So it wasn't that simple that just moving to Colorado got me to be sober, because I think I got a DUI within a month or two of moving here.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So that was the next eye opener. Made some changes temporarily, but still didn't fully commit to, being sober the rest of my life. Like I stopped drinking for a bit and then kind of slid back into it or whatnot. And then eventually over the next couple of years, my ex-wife, she could no longer tolerate, what I was doing. I was just drinking myself into oblivion all the time. So she made, comments to my family and said, hey, like, this has gotten pretty bad and we need to have a conversation with Jamie. So that's what we did. Like one day she's like, hey,
type thing.
Yeah. It wasn't one of those where I walked into the room and like, oh my God, why is everybody's
got letters to read you?
Yeah, exactly. But it was hey, we're going to go talk with your family now or whatnot. And I was like, okay, well, let's go do it.
Yeah.
And it definitely had the feel of an intervention where everyone spoke their, peace of mind and said what they needed to say. And, at this point, it was no longer about partying at all. Like, I was working remotely. So I was like sitting at home all day, every day, basically drinking until I blacked out.
Yeah.
So I was in a really low place at that point as well. So when the whole family, got around, it's like, we don't want to watch you kill yourself anymore. Like, we're not going to let you be in your niece and nephew's lives, because we can't trust you to be that person for them. So like, they basically just demanded change. Like, you've said you're sorry a million times to us and words, that's all great, but it doesn't do anything. So you have to take action. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I've never had to take action before. I've never done it. So, let me see. So at that point, they're basically like, well, you just need to figure it out. And so I started looking into programs, and I don't think they're around anymore, but I went to this intensive outpatient treatment with Arapahoe House. And I know the location I went to isn't there anymore. They might still, as an organization, they might still be around, but basically intensive outpatient treatment I went to 3 times a week, 3 hours a night, and did that somewhere between a year and 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was definitely intensive, but it's kind of those programs are for people that, still have a full-time job and can't just like go into a program where they're
facility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Why they should call it outpatient as opposed to inpatient, right? But essentially these meetings we went to, with a therapist, or I'm not sure what title she possessed, whatever. But we'd talk about it, and it was all about the physiology and anatomy of the brain.
Yeah.
And like how it's like kind of like not your fault that you're an alcoholic. Like, yeah, maybe you did things that contributed to it because, it's about your environment, your alcohol intake, your genetics, all those things. But it basically taught me like all this stuff that's like out of your control. One of the coolest things that I always share when people ask about this is the thing called drunk dreams. And I literally had one last night, which is really weird because I haven't had one in years. But it's kind of what it sounds like. But it's a dream about like you getting drunk, or if you're on drugs, whatever it is, whatever your vice is, it's you doing that again. And like kind of like a reminder of, oh yeah, you're out there having fun. But it's also the same, like where it's you like wake up and you're like, oh shit, did I
really do that?
Did I do that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have
what
to
a
go,
feeling.
Yeah, I've got to go tell my family, or oh man, I've just ruined everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, oh, that was
a
just
dream.
the dream.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's basically like your brain trying to kind of trick you and remind you like, hey, we missed that, like
Oof.
could you go out there and maybe get some alcohol or some drugs or whatever?
I
So
feel
that
like
was
the brain is like really compromisable. Like depending on what you do, like it can be set up in a bad way.
Yeah, but that was like the most interesting thing, like learning about like how it's trying to trick you into going back into your old ways because it misses that addiction, that feeling of alcohol and whatnot. So like for some reason it resonated with me. Like I got sober, I never looked back, and I've been sober since. I've never relapsed or whatnot.
Bro. That's awesome.
So like it worked for me, like I had been, I'll say court ordered, for like AA and such previously for, PIs and the DUI and such. But like that didn't work for me. I know lots of people in the program to this day, and it works like a champ. For whatever reason, it didn't for me, but the intensive outpatient treatment worked amazingly. Like I don't know, for some reason I was just intrigued, like hearing about like what my brain is trying to do to me and like how you have to fight it. So it was
saw the whole thing in a new light.
Yeah. It was really cool. Like, so I don't know. I made some, a really good friend out of the program as well. I'm still friends with to this day. And obviously it's been just over 13 years.
And so how long did you do like did you say already how long did you do the outpatient?
It was somewhere between a year and 2 years. I mean, I know that's a big gap, but I can't remember exactly. It was,
and you were going
intense.
how many times a week?
3 days a week,
Yeah.
3 hours, 3 hours each time. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yes, it was. It definitely was. But again, as bad as I was, like, I guess it pales in comparison to like where my life would be. I mean, again, I tell most people,
for sure,
everyone that only knows me as sober Jamie hadn't seen the past, and I'm like, there's a good reason that I'm sober today. I mean, I would have been either in prison or dead, at this point had I not changed. So definitely the best decision I've made in my life.
That's wild. The amount of guests that we've had that have had that changing and turning point in their life. One of our other guests we had here too is Tony Two-Tone. He's now a business owner. He owns like a cell phone shop and everything like that. But he was so bad that he was sleeping with shooters under his pillow.
Yeah.
Like he would get the shakes in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And he was like, I need to drink something. And you like drink a shooter in the middle of the night. Just like,
but same thing. He got sober and it just like turned his whole life around.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, he got his own shop and started doing his own business and everything like that. And
I never had the shooters under the pillow, but I had a routine every day where about 4 a.m. or so is when the alcohol from the previous day would wear off, and I'd wake up and I'd start to get sick. So then I would sneak out to the couch and then wait for my ex-wife to get in the shower, and then I would go find my hidden vodka bottle somewhere and make the biggest stiff drink. I mean, pretty much, like
Chugging.
16 ounce.
And how much of it do you think you were actually getting away with? And how much did people kind of just know?
I do talk about that often. Like I used to think that I was super clever and that nobody knew or whatnot. But my ex-wife certainly knew. I mean, that's why eventually she brought it up to my family. She was dealing with a lot at the time. Her father was in bad health and was, going through the phases of passing or whatnot. So she had a lot on her plate. So I'll say that probably presented some distractions to where that was not her primary focus, was not me in that regard. So she probably let it slide because she didn't want to deal with it. But otherwise, yeah, I think, she had a pretty good clue. And and my mom, I think when I would come around, when I still told them I wasn't drinking, but I had started again, I think she knew sometimes, like, yeah, you're different. Something's not right.
Yeah. Wow, that's really crazy. And so you had, God, I'm just thinking back to this because I grew up. My dad was an alcoholic growing up. I'm really struck by like the people who do stuff like that and then become sober and like find that they're some of the most reflective, like honest people, because I think it's a real problem in society nowadays.
For sure.
Looking at social media, like people can't really look at themselves in the mirror and like see what's real. It's like we all have this like delusional idea of who we are and what we're doing, And I've noticed people who get sober are more clear about that than anybody else that I talk to.
Yeah, and I mean that's honestly like why I'm an open book when it comes to this. Here's another story related to the SOS Outreach, and another nonprofit that I used to work with was Denver Kids. Denver Kids is another youth service organization here in Denver tied to Denver public school system. There I had an individual mentee that I spent time with twice a month, or that was the required amount or whatnot. But I remember the process of getting vetted to be a mentor with that organization. They're like, we have to do an FBI background check. And they're like, so is there anything we need to know or
DUI
whatnot?
Stuff and everything.
Yeah. And so I told them about the DUI, or actually, no, I didn't tell them about anything. I was like, I'm just going to let it fly and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so, or maybe well, it's been a while. That was a long time ago, but they eventually, so my ex-wife and I both did it at the time, and like she got her results back, and they're like, okay, yeah, you're approved, good to go. And I'm like, we did it the same day, and no one has contacted. Yeah. I'm like, I mean, it stands to reason, but no one has contacted me. Well, then the volunteer coordinator, they reached out to me, and they're like, hey, yeah, we got your results back, but we have some questions. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm happy to answer them. And they're like, okay, well, the now I remember, but they were like, the DUI was on there, like you said, and that doesn't disqualify you, what have you. And so they're like, but there was something else. Is there anything else you need to tell us? And I was like, well, okay, yeah. I said there was an arrest for possession of cocaine and Xanax many years ago. And I said I didn't bring it up because people get preconceived notions about who you are, what that means about you or whatnot. So I was like, yeah, it happened. But I said, I'm sober now, haven't been that person in a long time. So I didn't want, to rule me out just because of that. She's like, okay. Well, she's like, I wanted to hear your side of the story or whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I'm sober. I'm on a new path. That's why I'm trying to get involved. And she's like, okay, great. She's like, that doesn't disqualify you. She's like, quite honestly, she's like, it probably gives you a leg up because you've been there, been there, done that. You're probably going to be able to relate to the kids more, or kind 100%. Of guide them, in like, that whole world of drug use and alcohol and such. And I was like, crap, I didn't think about it that way, but I'm like, yeah, I definitely have some unfortunate street knowledge that I could share with the kids. So yeah, and it worked. I mean, I remember earlier this season having some conversations about alcohol with the kids in my SOS group, and I mean, it was to me it was so funny and cute. Is they were just like, well, what's that like? And I'm like, wow. I was like, I was already drinking at your age. So I'm like, the fact that you haven't, I'm like, you got a leg up, man.
Yeah, that's good job.
Yeah. Keep going down that path, dude. You're doing fantastic.
Right.
So yeah, no.
And it's good too that they were open to it. They wanted to hear your side, that it wasn't some blanket. It shows up on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah. I mean, that was really cool. I was, super excited about it. Cause then I worked with that organization for years as well. And they're a fantastic organization as well. But yeah, it was interesting because that was like the first time that there was ever that positive spin on it. Like, well, you have knowledge that other mentors won't have. So kudos to you for being a a dumbass when you were younger and
well, so
making
much
bad
of that,
choices.
Because Lake Middle School, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's kind of like been the bane of DPS forever. It was like the lowest performing school of all, pretty much consistently every year for multiple decades. School was established in 1926. From the time that they established the Colorado color system, like that, the color related, it's been a red school forever. And so my boss was the principal there. We all worked there for about 6 or 7 years and slowly turned that school completely green. Oh, by the way, yeah, never mind. I can't say it on the podcast. I don't know what I'm about to say. But we turned it green, so the school is actually green now. But all of the deans, like so many of the teachers that work there, they have backgrounds like that. Like they've been through it, have been arrested, have had terrible shit happen in their life. They've dealt with addiction. They've dealt with, domestic abuse and all these kind of things. And I think that is such a huge thing for connecting to kids that are growing up around that stuff or in that situation to see, because not only is it that like they trust you and like you're real and authentic about it, but they also see that like the destiny doesn't have to be horrible. Like you don't have to end up in a bad spot. You can turn things around and change.
I remember every single time when you would like tell me stories about your school when you first got there, and then it would just I thought the whole time like Tony was working at fucking like Lean on Me. Like, you like crack, right, Sam? You like crack? You like to smoke crack, Sam, don't you?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Not quite like that. Yeah, but I just think that's such a good thing, and it's funny that you hadn't thought of it that way and that they framed it that way for you, because I think that's huge.
Yeah, well, and this is this makes me think of the other thing that I always share with people when they ask about my involvement with SOS Outreach or just nonprofits in general, but like. The reason, real reason now, at least I've seen looking back, is that I got involved was I came from an upper middle class white family. Mm-hmm. I had all the privilege, everything basically handed to me, a super easy life. And I almost threw it all away. I almost didn't make it when I had everything at my fingertips. I had a strong support system. Yeah. My family is still heavily involved in my life to this day. I'm super close with them. I'm actually going to Tahoe tomorrow morning to move my nephew out to Truckee. He's starting his new life and a new career. He just, he graduated college. But the whole family, because we're super close, we're all going out there to move him in or whatnot. So
that's awesome.
I've had nothing but support. My sister has always supported me. I mean, anyone in my family, any one of my friends, like I've never had like the rough life or whatnot. And somehow I still almost managed to ruin my life and throw it away by, making some poor choices and then obviously getting, involved with drugs and alcohol and whatnot. Sure. And so I always look at it like, how can we expect any of these kids that, and I'm not, I don't mean to say it this way, but like come from a broken family that, have one or the other parent, that are a minority or whatnot. And so they just are presented with so many additional challenges than I ever even had. So I'm like, how in God's name can we expect them to make it without some, additional support in their lives? So I was like, it's such a no-brainer to me to go like, let me help these kids any way I can, even if it's just like taking you snowboarding and realizing, hey, there's some fun shit to do out there that makes your life suck less, if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, your story is a positive one. Obviously, there's not always positive outcomes
for sure.
that comes out to that, because Tira's brother was the same way. Tira's brother had every option in his life. They grew up same thing. Upper middle class, and Wyatt had everything that he could ever possibly have. They drove him to a separate school that was like an hour away so he can play band at the school, and he'd always just fuck it up and mess things up, and he got into drugs and alcohol really bad, and then it was just too much for him, and and he took his own life at the end of it. But again, with all that support that he still had, still wasn't enough for him at that point too.
Yeah, it's just it's so interesting, like all the different individual things people are carrying, no matter what your background. That's what we were talking about on that one episode, is like, because people get stuck. We've talked about, with drugs and stuff. Like you can have people in a good situation that have all the support and just stumble into a couple of bad friends, try a couple of things, and before you know it, you're off and rolling down this road, and it's like a really different thing. But it's always fascinating to me that some people can manage to get a hold of it and turn it around, and some people it just feels like it's a mountain just way too too big for them. They're just never able to quite overcome it.
Now with the SOS thing and the other nonprofit you do, does the photography stuff ever come up or anything like that?
It actually does. Sometimes, so it's kind of funny. So because of my involvement, like my tenure, like I've been involved with SOS so long, like I'm presented with additional opportunities within the organization. Sometimes that might be like, hey, we need you to photograph these things or whatnot. So that's come up a little bit. Fortunately, I will say they have a newer staff member that is also a photographer, and he does a lot of the stuff for them now. But I still am approached oftentimes where it's like, hey, because of your involvement, and we know, like, and trust you and all this stuff, like we have this brand that supports us. And we need you and the kids to like go out and get some shots of the kids with the gloves on or the goggles or whatnot.
Okay.
And it actually ties to, you and I've talked about my friend Pat Milbury.
Yeah.
And so there's been times where, he did a collab, with his open arts collection with Zeal Optics, some snowboard goggles.
Yeah.
And so this past season, or no, that was the season before. Yeah, it was the season before we, when they came out or whatnot, I went and got a bunch of shots on the mountain of one of my kids in my group, sporting the goggles and whatnot, so that he could use or Zeal, could use those for socials and that thing. And then we did another shoot with some like Cirrus gloves with some of the kids. So yeah, it comes up from time to time.
Overlaps. That's cool.
What are Cirrus gloves?
Cirrus, it's just a brand of
gotcha.
ski, snowboard gloves and mittens and things of that nature.
Now with the drone stuff,
stuff is so cool.
It is, yeah. It's dope, but
you have to get licensed for that.
Yeah, that's my question was going to be. I was like, do you have license and stuff like that?
Yeah, so this is another conversation I talk about all the time. It's funny too because I'm an old man now, so I'm constantly seeing everything on social media, and I'm judging everything, going, oh my God, that's so illegal what that guy just posted. And I'm like, he has 250,000 followers and he's posting this shit. And I'm like, you're just promoting the illegal use of drones. Now, mind you, I have to come clean. When I first started with my drone, I didn't know any of the rules and laws and whatnot, and I did what I wanted, and I definitely broke several of them as well. It's really hard not to. If you follow every rule to the T, it's practically impossible to fly, but you're supposed to. So for any commercial work, if you make money in any sort of way off your photography or videography, you're supposed to be Part 107 licensed. There's a few caveats to that if I went out and shot something and got some video or whatnot, and my intention was not to sell it, but then someone approached me and said, hey, can we buy that? I could technically sell it and not be breaking any laws. Now, I think at that point, there's always the question of like, are you sure you're not really doing that for trying to make money? But that's one of those, there's lots of gray areas with the FAA rules and regulations. But I am Part 107 licensed and have been for several years. And that's, it's
how do you get licensed? Like a test or something?
And it's essentially like a pilot's license test. I mean, it's not quite as intensive, perhaps, but you have to know a lot about airspace and being around airports and certain heights and all this kind of stuff. So there's like the golden rule of drone photography. Well, drone flight is 400 feet, and that's 400 foot above ground level, AGL as they call it. So you're not technically supposed to fly anything over 400 feet. If you look on social media, there are
for sure
millions of photos way, way higher than that.
Yeah, like mountain shots and stuff like that.
Like, so the caveat there, one of the rules that you get a little more leeway is if you are Part 107 licensed, you can fly 400 foot above a building, an object, something else. So let's say downtown Denver.
Sure,
you're on top
that's
of
what
a
I was
roof.
thinking of that one. Yeah.
So the cash register building is one of the most iconic buildings. I've shot it a million freaking times. It photographs really well, but that building is close to 800 feet.
Yeah.
So if you are a a recreational
1,200
pilot
feet.
and you're taking photos of it at the top of it, you're doing it illegally. But if you are Part 107 licensed, you could fly to the top of it and technically up to close to 1,200 feet.
Oh, jeez.
So you have to be within 400 foot of the object or whatnot. And there's a lot of reasons as to why that is, but
And I don't know a lot about drones. You can monitor all that stuff. It shows you.
yeah, it literally shows you your height, how far away it is from you, things of that nature, speed you're flying. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that you have at your fingertips. I mean, it would be a little tough. I guess as you flew up to the building, I mean, I've just flown it so many times that I know it's roughly X, and you can obviously look online and it'll say, the cash register building is 793 feet tall or whatever it is. But like from there, it would be a little tough to get it exact. And I don't think the FAA is really like, hold on, you went 401 feet.
Nah,
We're gonna throw the book at you. Yeah. But I mean, there's tons of other rules as well. I mean, technically, if you're a commercial pilot, you need to be insured as well in the event
in
that
case
something
it falls down or something.
Yeah,
I was going to ask
exactly.
you if anything's
Yeah.
ever happened. Have you ever lost a drone or?
Oh,
anything
I've
like that?
destroyed countless drones. I mean,
That's probably true of people who do a lot of photography with it.
it's next to impossible not to at some point. I mean, it's technology,
Lose a
so
connection or something.
Yeah, sometimes, you just don't know. DJI is pretty good. They have what they call this care refresh package, which is basically insurance that if your drone flies away or you crash it, you pay up front a small amount, and then you can buy a new one replacement for a discounted cost. It's a pretty damn good discount to do it that way.
Yeah.
So it's insurance of sorts. So yeah, I mean, I literally went to the San Juans. I think I told you I was going down there. But when I went down there, I destroyed a drone. I was shooting this waterfall, and I was looking straight up, and there was I was right at the top of the trees, and I'm like, I think I'm just above them. So I flew over. Nope, clipped the tree, plummeted to the ground.
Ah, damn.
Yeah. So the sensors on some of the drones work really well. Sometimes they don't.
And you're actually watching, right? You have like some kind of monitor or something?
Yeah. So in the controller, it'll show you the actual view of what the drone is seeing. I mean, you can obviously tilt the gimbal and
Yeah, I've seen
side
some
to
crazy
sides.
stuff online where those guys are like flying through small areas, just a few feet.
So that's a different type of drone. So
Yeah.
like mine's more just standard what I've been doing, but those are called FPV drones for first person view. And those are the ones that do the really dynamic flight. So they operate on like all axes, whatever, however you say that. But they can fly straight up, straight down, sideways,
Any
rotating
direction.
all over
Wow.
the place. Yeah. Those are much more complicated to fly and operate.
And see, that was my question was like with the accidental stuff. I was like, you go to concerts, or like even like sporting events, you see drones sometimes up there.
Yeah.
And you said you were insured, like, because that's what I've always wondered too. Like, is that shit just like stops working above people
Yeah.
and comes down?
Right.
Well, so there are very specific requirements for that type of drone operation. Obviously, you have to be Part 107 licensed. It has to be 249 grams or less. And that's the FPV drones are designed that way to be very small and very
Lighter.
lightweight.
Okay.
They also, you have to have the blades on it. They have to have a guard around them. Most FPV drones, their frame, their body, or whatever you want to call it, is built that way. It's designed that way, so they're protected. So like technically, there's the DJI Mini 3 or Mini 4 Pro that's 249 grams or less. So you technically can fly it over people, but you couldn't fly it at a concert.
It has the open
because the
blades,
blades aren't covered. And I promise you, because we tend to grab the drones out of the air to like stop flight. And if you get clipped by that, it'll split you wide open. Yeah, those things, even though they're plastic, they cut very well.
Yeah.
Done that many a times.
Have you?
Yeah.
And so like my friend Joe, he's been on, and he was a fire investigator for a while. And so he had the same thing. He had to get licensed because when they go into spots where they're not able to go in yet because it's a little too hot, they fly the drone in to kind of see where the areas are and everything like that. And he was telling me the same things about how high he can go and what his drone does. And he had one of those complicated ones where it has to go like in and out because you go through a lot of like the forest fires and stuff like that. And so just kind of maneuvering and going through and stuff. And so I always find that stuff fascinating.
It's I mean, I fell in love with it, and that's where I'd say most of my work that I do is drone stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I actually just had a conversation with the Denver Office of Tourism yesterday, and we're going to go out and get some new shots, around town or whatnot, just because, our skyline is constantly changing. So
yeah. What do you have a fan? Anybody inspire you with photography ever, or was it just kind of your thing? You just sort of got into it, and
you know what? That's a good question. I mean, nowadays, obviously, there's tons of photographers out there that inspire me daily or whatnot, but like to get into it, I'm trying to think. Oh, I not anyone that I know personally. Like I didn't have like friends or family that were photographers.
Just wondering if there was like a type of photography or a certain person, a certain artist or whatever.
There, like, the first one that I can remember following on social media, and I feel so dumb now that I can't remember his name because he's absolutely huge and amazing. But he's out of Hawaii, and he shoots in the waves. For some reason, I want to say Carl Clark. It starts with a C. But he gets in the water and he shoots all of the like breaks and such.
Clark Little?
Yes, Clark Little. God, how did I?
I'm quick on Google searches, man. I'm good.
Yeah. So
I was working on
that. That was probably the first person I can remember that was a photographer where I was just blown away by his work. Like Jesus, like that can't be easy.
Yeah,
doing that within the water.
Something about your work. I don't know what it is, but
look at that dollar. He's like in the wave, like
like, and he'll get crazy like sunset shots and like sunbursts, and I mean he's unreal, and so I guess I'm never in that situation and never have shot that, but that was definitely the first photographer that I could ever say like, wow. This guy is kind of impressive.
Yeah. Damn, that's pretty dope. So I was gonna say something about yours. I feel like I'm transported somewhere when I'm looking at it. Like I feel like when I look at one of your pictures, I feel like I'm there. I don't know what that is. I don't know shit. I confess this earlier. I don't know shit about photography or videography or anything, even though I'm solely responsible for our video, by the way, with an iPhone here recording the guest.
Hey, it works.
Yeah. It does the job. Yeah.
I mean, that's good to hear, right? Like that's basically what we're trying to do is make you feel what we felt when we were there or to bring you to said location. Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate you saying that because it means I'm doing something right.
It's a big thing for me because I am such a nature guy. Like when I'm in the middle of the school year and I'm stressed out and everything's going crazy or whatever, I like find myself thinking about rivers I've been at and just knowing that river's out there flowing right now.
Yeah.
And I feel that way when I see those pictures. I'm just like, that beautiful scene, is out there somewhere, or at least, yeah.
And there's, I think a lot of that, I think comes from like using compositional techniques appropriately. Like we all as photographers hear like the rule of thirds and leading lines and all of those things. And it sounds cliche and whatnot, like, oh yeah, whatever, like I need to use that. Okay. But it actually is true. I mean, the reason that they've become like etched in, photography techniques and that you need to do this. And of course, you can stray a little here and there, but it works. But it's because of how our brain interprets those things. And so it is like psychology, whatever, like you're like this room, right? Like with these lights, our brains like patterns. So things that you can find out in nature that have leading lines and or patterns and such is more appealing to the eye and our brain. So that's why you want to shoot stuff like that. And I think same thing about one of the other techniques I think about all the time is adding depth to your photos. And that's where I think it makes it feel less 2D, on a screen, like this flat kind of image. If you can add depth to the image, that makes it feel more realistic. So it makes you feel that you're there, and you can do different techniques like by having something in the foreground, and we'll just use like a river and mountain kind of scene. But if you have like a big rock right there in the foreground, it's like in your face and it feels really close. But then you see the river running through the frame, and then far off in the distance are the mountains. And so that river is kind of leading line. It draws you through the image, and then you get the mountains in the background or whatnot, and it's far away, because the rock's close and the mountains are far away.
That makes so much sense.
So it really does, like, if you use those appropriately, it really does help, like, train your brain to go like, wait a minute, like, oh, it feels like I'm there.
I'm going to work on that, Pierce, a little bit. I have so many nature pictures that look flat. It's just like, because there's not there's not distance.
So, and this is what a lot of people do, especially if they're just getting into photography and they're not like studying techniques or whatnot, but like you stand at the normal level that we stand at, whatever height you are, and you snap a photo. Well, everyone sees, that perspective, relatively speaking, within a few inches or feet.
Yeah.
And so that's super normal. Also, like, you might just take a picture of those mountains. And so if there's nothing in the foreground down here below, it looks flat. It's just, there's the mountains over there.
Yeah.
But if you get down and get a different perspective, and you get on the ground and you get that rock in the foreground or some wildflowers, that's probably one of the most popular things to do in the summer here in Colorado. Is get those. I do it all the time. But you get the wildflowers there in the front, you get some stuff in the midground, and then you got the mountains in the background and the sun setting. It just has a much greater impact. But yeah, most people don't, unless they're trying to improve their photography, they don't think about that kind of stuff, or they just kind of point and shoot.
That one little nugget, I'm going to run with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the ones I liked the most, I think in your print shop, was the sand dunes.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones that you have in there, was like the dunes just going across each other, and then the cloudy sky in the top there. That's one of my favorite ones. I like that one too.
Yeah, there's so many, I guess, just different techniques that have such great impacts. But like rule of thirds is probably one of the most common ones, and it's basically, you can look on your iPhone there, and if you have the grid, do you have the grid showing when you have your camera open?
I don't usually.
Okay, you should add that. So it's just a setting on your phone, but it'll have 2 lines going down this way and 2 lines going across.
I've done it on accident before.
So that essentially is how it separates your phone into thirds. And so where those lines intersect, those are typically the best places for a subject to be, or a spot in the photo of interest. So rather than me just taking a straight on picture of you in the middle of the frame, I might, do hit the half button and do a little wider angle and put you in the bottom left corner of that intersection, or bottom right.
Wow.
And again, it's not a hard, fast rule.
Yeah. Sure.
But if you start doing that, you're going to note, it makes the photos way more dynamic.
Huh.
It can create depth, like we've already talked about.
That's
dope.
So yeah, if you go look at my photos, you will see that oftentimes. That's
look at that distance on that one. See, that's kind of what we were talking about there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see those wildflowers in the foreground, and then the sunburst coming through the clouds in the back.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. How did you get linked up with Dave and doing those pop-ups?
Mike Patty.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mike he's followed me on social media for, God, I think it's been a few years now.
Okay.
And so back when he did his magazine and podcast stuff, he had just reached out to me a few times and was like, "Hey man, I love your work." He's like, "I work with a lot of different bands, in the reggae space specifically." And I'm like, "Well, that's cool, because that's one of my favorite genres."
Let's go.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Tell me more." And he's like, "Well," he's like, "Yeah, he's like, I'll come out to Denver from time to time, with some guys." He's like, "I'd love to see if we could work together somehow." And I'm like, "Sure, just keep me posted." And, a lot of time had passed, and then he finally was like, "Well, I'm working with Dave. We're coming out."
Okay.
So that was not this year, but
2 years ago.
But yeah, 2 years ago. He's like, "We have enough time that we could go shoot if you want." And I'm like, I've been following Dirty Heads for 15 plus years now.
Yep.
So I was like,
You're like, I actually have a bunch of work I can send you.
yeah. Like I'm available whenever Dave's available. So that's where we went downtown and we just kind of did some long exposure shots with him sitting at the Union Station stuff and 17th Street. And then, you know, they got me to go shoot at the concert at Red Rocks that year. So that was the first time I got to shoot at Red Rocks, so that was fun.
Oh, that's dope.
Kind of one of those bucket list things as a photographer, like, ooh, I actually get to get in the pit. I will say this, I'm not a concert photographer, and that shit is stressful. Like, I mean, everything is changing constantly. Like the people are moving, the lights are changing. And I mean, like adjusting your settings and like capturing that instance, like that was hard. And I mean, I'll have to say, I don't think I did a very good job of it. I ran around and shot all night as much as I could. And when I went through the thousands of images I captured, I was like, am I a good photographer? I was like,
It's like a new thing, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a totally different way of shooting for me. I'd never done it.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably captured a few good images, but out of the amount that I took, it was fairly embarrassing. I'm like, do I really want to send these to Mike and let him show them to Dave? I'm like,
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because, like, you know, I've gone to Florida with them, Vegas, and all that stuff. You know, I traveled with them too. And I was telling Tony one of the funniest times was like, you know, obviously when we're with Dave, we get like the VIP wristbands and stuff like that, so we can go backstage, we can go on the stage, we can do all those things. And there's one particular time, like I love Revolution as well. Yeah, and Revolution was playing on the main stage. I was like, I'm gonna go take some pictures. Is that cool? And he's like, yeah. And Dave was like, get in the pit. He goes, go do whatever. He goes, he's like, that VIP thing, we'll get you anywhere on that, anywhere in the front, the back, wherever. I was like, okay, cool. And so, yeah, like you were saying, when you're on the bottom, and there's also some rules too. They're like, okay, you can only do so many minutes up front, and then you have to leave before they start closing down and doing the main songs. And he was like, and you can only be at this section, you can be this section, you can't be in the middle, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, fine. And then I got up into the side stage, and I just remember I was listening to Revolution, and I had my camera, and I was just like sitting there. I was like, this is dope. I was like watching it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm here to take pictures. Oh my God.
That was probably the hardest thing. I'm like, I can't like watch and enjoy the show because I'm trying to capture all this shit. And like, you can't just sit around for like 5 minutes. I'll get the next song. You know? Nothing cool going on right now. Yeah, so that was definitely tough. Again, because I've been a huge fan of Dirty Heads for so long. So, I mean, that was like the draw for me. I'm like, shoot with Dave of Dirty Heads. Like, of course I'm going to do that. And then, like getting to work with you guys on the pop-ups, that's always fun, man. And seeing all the fans come through and such. So, yeah, that's been cool.
When I told Tony about Dave, and what I love about Dave is that the first person that sees Dave and the last person that sees Dave gets the same Dave.
Yeah.
The energy is the same. Dave is there for the fans, and he's like,
for sure,
he'll sign whatever you want at the very first person and whatever you want for the very last person.
Yeah.
Like, it's just consistent.
Yeah. No, he's a super, super cool dude for sure. I was very stoked to have finally got to meet him. So, and so this year we didn't have time to like shoot with him specifically. But Mike had sent me out one of the 4 old decks.
Yeah.
And so I will say this, I hope to get to share the pics one day, because right now Dave hasn't done anything with them.
Yeah.
But essentially, I mean, I could tell you what Mike sent me an idea of a picture that he had, and he's like, can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, of course I could, take some playing around or whatnot. But essentially what we did is, it's the Skanker logo on the deck or whatnot. That's what's on Mike's shirt, if you're not familiar with that logo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like he brings me gear all the time.
Yeah. But like I got that deck, and so what I was trying to capture was the wheels on fire.
Yeah.
And that sounds pretty simple. But I must have gone out and shot 5 or 6 different times, and I was like going to the skate parks just because I wanted like scene appropriate.
Yeah.
And so I took a couple, but what's funny is like whatever flammable substance I used to put on the wheels, like you could get them lit, but then by the time you get set with the deck, get the shutter going on the camera or whatnot, like 1 or 2 of the wheels have already burned out. And so like, it was so much trial and error. Like I used alcohol, and then I I used some like adhesive sprays, and like it just wasn't working. Like I kept getting closer. And so then I eventually had to wrap gauze around the wheels.
Wow.
And then put the alcohol on the gauze, and then they would burn just long enough. So I eventually captured the photos that Dave approved. But I actually just had messaged Mike about it here recently, because this was months ago now. And he's like, yeah, he hasn't done anything with them, so hold off, because I want to post them, because I'm proud of the pictures. I think they're cool.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to, put them on his website or something. So I don't know. But
I wonder, like, in that instance, what's the fuel that they use for catering? It's that jelly substance.
Oh yeah.
I bet you that would have worked.
Yeah,
because it would have stuck on. And it would have kept on going no matter what, because as long as that stuff was there.
I know when I put the gauze on naturally, because there was something to burn, because obviously skate wheels are like really hard plastic. They're not now because I put the gauze on there and the flammable liquid, and they burn for a little while. They did kind of get to the wheel eventually. Let's say I wasn't going to be skating on those wheels afterwards. But yeah, it was much more challenging than I had ever imagined.
Because that stuff, that catering stuff, only goes out if you put it out with oxygen. Without any oxygen. So I wonder if if you got to get that jelly and just put it on there and just.
Yeah, well, that's something I could try for next time. I mean, it was a painful process, but it was cool in the end. But cool, dude. Like if I could know the exact substance going into it, it'd be super easy to recreate.
Yeah. Like, instead of all the trial and
error. Rub this stuff on and you're good to go.
Huh.
That would have been
nice.
Now
that we're talking about music, Dollar, I think we should ask him the question.
Oh, yeah, we have to.
Yeah. Uh-oh. So every guest that we have on the show,
we
ask him one question, okay? You're stuck on a deserted tropical island. You have everything you need to live a long, happy, healthy life, okay? You have a way to play music, but on your way to that island, you only had one album that was with you. What album is that?
Ooh, man, that is a fantastic question and an extremely hard one to answer. But being on an island specifically, I can actually think of one, and it's probably my favorite reggae dub album still to this day is Stick Figure Burial Ground.
Okay.
Ooh. Aren't
you a big Stick Figure fan?
Yeah. I like Stick Figure. Yeah.
That I remember when I first heard these guys, they were like when I imagined who they were, I'm like thinking of a stick figure. I'm like, who are these clowns? What is I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I heard them, and it was right around the Burial Ground album.
Yeah.
And I can think back to when I just fell absolutely in love with the album. I was in South Padre in Texas for a conference, and I had a lot of time to kill in between stuff, and I had Burial Ground on my headphones, and I was just walking down the beach listening to it on repeat. And like, I don't know, that album, like anytime someone that's maybe a little newer to reggae dub stuff, that like maybe they've heard Stick Figure but doesn't know them really well or whatnot, I always tell them Burial Ground, listen to Heartland, something like that, and it'll blow you away. And Heartland is still one of my all-time favorite songs. So
that's dope. That was one of the faster ones though, Pierce. No,
yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah,
sometimes
it's definitely the first reggae album that we've had for somebody.
Well, besides mine.
Two's.
Yeah.
So Tony's is
Catch a Fire. Bob Marley, though.
Yeah.
And then I'm Gratitude by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I am curious though, because my favorite reggae band, like a lot of people in the reggae scene here aren't familiar. Do you know who Catch a Fire is? With a K? Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah, I talked to so many people who don't, because they're out in New Zealand. Yeah. Did you see the crazy post I did? And I like tagged them. Yeah. I sent them a DM and everything. I was like begging them, like, come to Denver again.
That's funny, because one of my good friends, that's one of their favorite bands of all time as well. Yeah, they're super good.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because my favorite album of all time is Catch a Fire by Bob Marley. And then my favorite band is Catch a Fire.
Right.
Which is obviously inspired by it. Pierce, we are down to the last couple minutes here. I think I saw that you sent some, right?
Yeah.
Do a little bit of those
fun facts. Yeah.
All right.
So again, if you want to get into the fun facts, just let me know. Send me a DM. Send us a message. Any of that stuff. And so these fun facts are 50 of the things that I find every single week.
Only about 18% of Americans can drive a stick shift. I wonder if that has to have changed.
I'm one of those 18%.
Yeah,
I drove a standard for a long period of time in my life, so I'm definitely
that's what I learned
there.
Same,
yeah, same here. Same here.
I learned on a Chevy Love.
I mean, I guess with the automobiles changing so much, like that's a thing of the past.
Well, that just tells you right now how old we are.
Yeah.
We're all the same.
Bunch of old dudes sitting in this room, bro.
Exactly.
The Romans were the first to invent pie. By the way, yesterday was National Pie Day, so that's why that's on here. Yesterday, Pi Day and not 3.14.
Yeah, see, I'm a math guy.
Not Pi Day. Not Pi Day.
Like, wait, I thought that was
Pi Day is in March.
And then National Leather Day.
Okay.
Yesterday too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I missed out on that one.
Yeah. But so we're talking about Iceland.
Yeah.
Iceland is the only country in the world with no mosquitoes.
Man, I totally forgot that part. Like I said,
really
no predators, so that's a predator.
There you go. That is a predator. Yeah.
That's great.
There's a lot of reason to go to Iceland.
Yeah. No, we would definitely want to go. Me and my wife want to go.
It's amazing, man.
Do a little trip. Pierce.
Yeah.
All of us go on.
Let's go.
I want to go to Iceland.
I don't know. I'm there though, dollar. Yeah.
Dude, I know this isn't a fun fact, but I did want to bring this up. Did you see that guy who's a furry?
Oh, the mauled by the wolves?
Tried to join a wolf pack?
Yeah. So
in Wyoming?
So this guy in northern Colorado guy, Fort Collins guy, he is a furry. And he decided he wanted to live among the wolves. And so
it's like you can't make this up.
He went to go, he found a pack of wolves and they mauled him.
Yeah. He survived though.
Imagine that.
Shocker.
Who would have ever guessed that? They weren't accepting and like, come on in, bro. Just let's hang. You're one of us. Yeah, that's
we'll take you in. Refugee, fine. That's whatever. The word mortgage comes from the French word which means death contract.
Sounds very appropriate.
Yeah, because like mortem or something like that in Latin.
Yep.
Isn't it? You're never paying this shit off.
Yeah.
So. Good luck.
On a normal day, the average person is supposedly wearing about 4 items of leather. This could be shoes, belts, jackets, watch, straps, wallets, purses, or items of clothing.
I guess my belt. I got that.
Yeah,
my
that's
belt,
about
my
it.
shoes.
I got the belt.
My shoes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
Right?
Yeah. And moving on.
You can actually, so I've seen, if you've ever gone to like a boot barn or like a boot place, you can actually buy leather which comes from the skin of a salmon. It's not salmon colored, but it is extremely durable and has a unique look. So it has become very popular in Iceland, in Norway. Although it is not particularly well known in the UK and US at the moment, but it still exists. Now they do have boots have all fucking different kinds of leather. There's like manta ray leather. You can get boots made out of manta ray. Like all kinds of reptiles.
Anything
fish.
we can kill.
Anything you can kill. You can make a fucking boot out of it.
So now I'm curious, like maybe I should know this, but what makes it leather? If it's
I know.
Like, I was thinking like leather is more like
I had the exact same thought.
Like cows but
I think
I have heard lots of other
it's like the process of
treating it and stuff like that. Yeah, and too. So
I wonder what all goes into that. I've never.
So you could make like human skin leather as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's his name in Texas did?
Yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There you go.
The Milky Way rotates at an average speed of 130 miles per second. In the last hour, you've traveled through roughly 468,000 miles through space.
It's a moving.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's we've talked about that. Like even our solar system, right? We have this little. It's a sun, and the planets go around it, and it's like no. If you see an accurate diagram, it's like the whole thing is just
we're just flying
through the
universe.
fucking
flying, dude. Yeah. And we're just here on the planet, just like
hurtling through space.
Yeah.
Which makes you realize, like from a physics perspective, we all think of these things as permanent. They're not permanent at all. No. It's like a ball that's going around thing. Eventually, it just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dreamt is the only English word that ends in the letters MT.
I tried really hard to think of
something else. You didn't prove them wrong.
No, I couldn't.
Damn it.
We are not doctors.
Yeah.
Or experts or anything. Okay, popular leather products actually date back all the way to 3000 BC when the Romans used leather sails on their boats. Leather was also used for furniture, tents, and weapons. It began to be used for more for fashion purposes around 1,000 years later when it started to be worn by Egyptian women. Sails, leather sails.
Or tents.
Yeah.
Leather tents.
Like, I wouldn't want to backpack with that.
Yeah, that'd be heavy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we did it again, Pierce. It's episode 243. Great episode.
Yeah, we're going on 11 years, bro.
God,
11 years doing the
wild.
podcast. That's wild.
Captain Colorado Photography, also known as Jamie Rogers. Thank you for being with us. You got to come back, dude. I feel like you have an endless supply of stories.
There's not too many people that accuse me of not being able to talk, so
I love it.
I probably could share more.
Check him out on all those socials. You're on Facebook as well?
Yep.
All that stuff. So Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
His photography is phenomenal. The portfolio is awesome too.
Yeah.
Check that out too. So
Definitely.
yeah. Thanks again, Captain
Well,
Colorado.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate you, brother.
And with that dollar, it is a wrap. Cheers.
Cheers.